Hello again, Kingston Town Administrator Keith Hickey with the latest edition of This Week in Kingston for the week ending the 18th of October, 2024. Things are starting to cool off outside, obviously. A lot of things still going on in town. I want to make people aware of. We have a Board of Selectmen meeting next Tuesday evening, the 22nd. We've got a pretty full agenda. Um, just to give people a sense of what we'll be dealing with next week, we unfortunately have another dangerous dog hearing for another situation and another dog. The board will be hearing from the dog owner and those who are impacted in this with the situation, um, and we'll be deciding whether or not to deem the dog a nuisance dog again or a dangerous dog. We had a couple of, from what I understand, a couple of puppies that were bitten, unfortunately. So we seem to have had a run on dangerous dog hearings, and those are continuing. So we'll be dealing with that as the first item on the agenda shortly after 6 o'clock. And once the board makes a decision on how they're going to address that dog, we'll move on to some other agenda items. We have a 1-day liquor license for uh, Stellwagen Beer Company for an event that's going to be going on at the Bog. We have the board voting um, on the warrant articles for the fall town meeting warrant. We have 14 articles that will be heard. I expect. The again to remind everybody, the special town meeting is going to be held on November 19th at the Kingston Intermediate School in the gymnasium, 65 Second Brook Road, the 6 Second Brook Street. Hope everybody can come. Um, a lot of important issues on that warrant. Probably one of the ones that has had a lot of discussion. And again, we're trying to ramp things up to make people more aware of what's going on. The MBTA zoning proposal for the town of Kingston will be heard. Obviously, I think a lot of people are aware. We're looking to that's every community that has a commuter rail stop or a community that abuts a community that has a commuter rail stop is required to um, potentially adopt MBTA zoning. If you don't adopt this zoning by December 31st of 2024, the penalty is that community can no longer access a wide variety of state grant revenues or grant opportunities that are available out there. We're going to try to put together a list of some of the grants that we've received that we would no longer be able to receive, just to give people some examples of what that means. The sewer department, when they had their sewer plant upgrade, they received $6 million in grant proceeds to help defer the cost of that upgrade. We wouldn't be eligible for those moving forward. You'll see on the warrant that we'll be discussing at the fall town meeting, there's $1 million being requested for the engineering work to design and identify the specific location for a new well for the water department. This $1 million is just to do the preliminary work. I expect that you'll see on the Springtown meeting warrant upwards of $5+ million for a new well, and that new well may be eligible for some portion of a grant to pay for a portion of that project. Don't know what that grant might be at this point, and probably won't before fall town meeting. But there is significant grant money out there for projects that are enhancing the development of housing in communities and providing infrastructure upgrades. So this would be, I think, a pretty important project. Later on, at some point in the future, the water department's also talking about the need for an additional water tank at probably upwards of a price of $4 million plus. And again, in all likelihood, would be eligible for some sort of state grant. Can't identify what that grant amount would be, but and there are other grants certainly out there. We've got a number of improvements to traffic, to roads, intersections, drainage improvements, things of that nature that there is grant money geared for those specific projects. Again, wouldn't be eligible to apply for those grant projects. So again, we're trying to provide that information to you, not trying to persuade you one way or another on how to vote for this zoning amendment, but more or less understanding that there are ramifications if it doesn't pass, and certainly there's ramifications if it does pass. The MBTA zoning, if people aren't aware, there's information on our website. The area is up near the MBTA station and works its way around the mall area and portions of the mall, and in that general area up in that specific spot in town. There's just over 800 units that we would need to provide housing for to meet this MBTA zone. The property that we've identified, like every community, it doesn't need to be vacant property. I think all of the property that we have up there right now that's been included in the zone is already developed with car dealerships, the mall, and any other number of commercial businesses up in that area. So again, we've got to identify the area, provide the space if that's dictated by the zoning requirements, and see if we can get this approved. If we can, one unit doesn't need to be built if there isn't a developer who's interested in doing so. Kingston, we're lucky; we've got 200 plus units up at the mall now. Those 200 units have been credited towards the 800 that we have to have to comply with the MBTA zoning. So we're on our way. So again, Valerie Massard, our town planner, and I will be doing a TV show next week. I believe we're going to have the planning board chairman Tom Bouchard with us as well to try to explain a little bit more the MBTA zone, what it means, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So when people come to town meeting in November, they have a general understanding about what's being requested, why it's being requested, and what we think the impacts, both positive and negative, to the town may be. There's another handful of articles. Again, we have 14. 6 of those are changes in bylaws and things of that nature. So they're not attached to anything monetarily. We've got $9,000 in prior year bills, $60,000 to do a study to comply with the Mass School Building Association or Authority, excuse me. The school department is on a list of potential projects that may be funded through a grant through MSBA. If they are, there's a requirement to do kind of a scoping. The project is the elementary school roof. They'd identify the most appropriate repair for that with that $60,000. And then what you'd see in the spring is a bond article, in all likelihood, seeking approval to fund the repairs to the elementary school roof. There's $189,000 being requested for the police department, which is primarily overtime and training for overtime. Overtime for training purposes, filling shifts, things of that nature, and as well as training. I mentioned already the $1 million for the water, the well work. $25,256 from unexpended prior year articles to fund some additional costs associated with some of our longer term employees who have decided to retire, and there's an obligation to pay them for accrued vacation, and some of the older employees some accrued sick time. We have a capital equipment article in the amount of $1.52 million. That consists of $1,082,000 for a new fire engine, $159,000 for upgrades to the police and fire portable radios or radio infrastructure to address some shortcomings we have in some parts of town, but more importantly in the Silver Lake High School. $75,000 for the acquisition of a comfort dog for the police department, $60,000 for dock replacement down at the Idina. That will be funded through waterfront committee revenues, And lastly, $76,000 to make the necessary repairs to open up that elementary school playground. We have a septic betterment program of $400,000. It's the town doesn't fund that. It's funded through a Massachusetts Clean Water Trust. What it does is allows Kingston residents to borrow money from this trust, repaying it over time to replace septic systems of the same size when their septic systems are failing. So it's a nice opportunity. I know we've had a number of Kingston residents take advantage of that in the past. We belong to this program. The town approved $400,000 in the past. That authorization has now been exhausted, and so we're asking for a second authorization to allow that program to continue. As I mentioned, there's 5 or 6 other smaller articles that are bylaw changes and things of that nature, increasing the age of special police officers to 70 years old, amending a bylaw for residential development scheduling to comply with state changes, changing the wage and personnel bylaw to add a new position to the bylaw, transfer one piece of property to conservation. The waterfront committee, because they continue to have challenges with quorums, they're looking to reduce their committee number from 7 to 5, so they have a better chance of getting a quorum there. And lastly, there's a request to amend the public health sanitation bylaw. So those are the articles you'll be dealing with at fall town meeting. It should be an interesting evening. A lot of debate, I'm sure, especially on the MBTA zoning. Moving forward for this next week's meeting, we've got 4 new appointments for employees who have either been hired or in some cases they're transferring. One's been promoted, which is great. The wastewater commission is asked to meet with the board of selectmen to discuss some of the issues they're dealing with right now with regards to their rates and whether or not the board of selectmen would be willing to continue to pay some of their new debt with a contribution from the general fund. And we have an appointment to the Affordable Housing Trust. And then lastly, there are 4 vehicles that have been replaced at streets, trees, and parks that we're asking the board to deem to be surplus so we can auction those pieces of equipment off. So again, busy night, a lot going on. Please try to keep involved if you'd like to. There's still a tremendous number of opportunities to sit on boards and commissions if you'd like to do that. We've got some important items coming up at this week's town meeting. This week's selectmen's meeting, and then the November 19th special town meeting. So if you have an opinion or you want to share that opinion, it's important to try to be there and participate in that. Your input is critical in helping shape what Kingston's going to look like moving forward. With that, I want to thank everybody much for watching. The information that I've talked about today is going to be all on the website by Monday the 21st. So if you have any questions, you can take a peek at that information. And if you have any follow-up questions or want to speak about anything at all, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to talk to you. With that, I want to thank everybody much for watching. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.